Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Stanfill. I'm joining you today from Atlanta, Georgia, where, as just said, I manage the Refund API team for Square. I'm also the local chapter chair for our Women in ERG community block. Women Eng is Women Engineers. We work to empower women-identified engineers by engaging allies and organizing community events. We provide a safe space to address the unique challenges women face, and we create opportunities to grow and advance as engineers across the Block ecosystem. Super excited to be here to welcome the Women Who Code community to today's conversation. I've got some phenomenal engineers from across the Block ecosystem, from TIDAL, TBD, and Bitkey. We're going to hear about their journeys into tech and learn about how their team's work moves the needle in their respective industries. So I want to kick things off by introducing Kirah Sapong, who's a senior front-end open-source engineer on TBD. Clara Rendé, who is a senior back-end engineer on TIDAL's content team. And then Joanna Douglas, who is an engineer on Bitkey. They're going to share their experiences and the careers that they have, where they're constantly evolving and creating global access to economic empowerment. So I'm going to start by just taking time with each one of them one at a time. First, we'll start with Clara. If you could just repeat your name and tell me what you do.
Sure. Well, first, thank you, Erin, for this introduction. And I would also like to thank both the blog organization and the Women Who Code community for having us, for giving us the opportunity to participate in this event. So I'm Clara. Hello, everyone. I'm a software engineer born and raised in sunny Barcelona. But these days you can find me in Amsterdam, where, I guess I traded in the Spanish sun for the Dutch rain. I guess one could say I'm on a mission to find the world's best umbrella. I moved here at the beginning of this year with my partner and began working at TIDAL at the same time. So it was an exciting beginning to the year, I must say. As you may all know, TIDAL is one of the business units from Block. We are a global music platform that helps fans and artists fully immerse themselves in their love of music. And we build tools and services to help artists first forge valuable connections and navigate the business that surrounds their music, which is very important. And I joined the content team, which is responsible for the onboarding and integration of record labels to our platform, and also the internal delivery and consumption of the data that is delivered to us. So the content team is spread across two domains. One is the SIP, which stands for Sourcing and Ingestion Pipeline, and the other one is the AMCD, which stands for Artist Metadata Content Delivery. And I specifically joined the SIP subdomain, which very shortly is the technical entry point for media metadata into our platform.
Great, thank you. So you told us a little bit of how you got to Amsterdam and the TIDAL. Is there anything more about your journey to Block you want to share with us?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So regarding my journey, I would say it has been definitely driven by my passion for both music and technology. I grew up in a household filled with art and music. All credit to my mom, who is an art historian, and also my dad, who is not only a telecommunications engineer like me, but an amateur musician, trumpet and bass player, and also a dedicated audiophile. So imagine having a trumpet player learning for more than 20 years at home. Our neighbors definitely have their stories. So as you can tell, music has been part of my life since childhood. I began playing the violin at the age of 6 and continued for more than 16 years and so on. So this would be related to my childhood blog, let's say. And regarding the next block, which would be studies/job opportunities. Like after completing my bachelor's degree in telecommunications engineering here in Barcelona, I moved for a year in Berlin. And during that time, I gained my first professional experience as a software engineer at a company that was specialized in room acoustics. We were improving the acoustics of concert halls, studios, and so on. And it was a very special time. And Berlin also introduced me to the world of electronic music, sparking my interest in DJing and learning how to produce electronic music as a hobby. And yeah, after a year in Berlin, I returned to Barcelona to pursue my master's degrees, which was focused on, well, it was in telecommunications engineering as well, but it was focused on audiovisual technologies, image, audio, and video processing, and also in AI, artificial intelligence. So after that, I felt curious about the IT consulting world. And since I believed it would offer me a wealth of experience, allowing me to get to know different sectors, companies, technologies, tools, and etc., while also it would provide me a broader perspective of the tech landscape. So I had the privilege of working for 2 tech companies where I improved both my software engineering skills as well as the project management skills. And to finish, being promoted to a team lead role at my former employer provided me with valuable leadership experience, including guiding and mentoring a team and so on. So after 5 years, a bit more, I was ready for a new chapter in the industry I'm most passionate about, as I mentioned before, which is the music industry. And yeah, by that time, my father was already using TIDAL, and that triggered me the idea of joining the company, and that's how I joined Blog. And it's been an incredible journey so far, and I'm super excited to see where it takes me in the future.
Thanks, Claire. It sounds like you found like the perfect job for you, and I love the fact that you work for a company that your dad knows, right? So I'm curious, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Yeah, I love this question. So I think, yeah, if I wasn't doing what I'm currently doing, I would probably be either an electronic music producer or a DJ, or probably both. Yeah, I would say both. Likely traveling around the world and performing in the most remote and mystical places that may exist. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Hey, Joanna, why don't we let the audience get to know you a little bit? Could you just tell us a bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Joanna Douglas, and I'm joining from Las Vegas, Nevada, which is actually a pretty nice and family-friendly place. I'm a software engineer, focusing on backend and leading the technical side of partnerships for Bitkey, our Bitcoin hardware wallet at Block. I've been at Block for a little bit over a year now, and in my role, I work on partner integrations that will help more people make their journey into self-custody of Bitcoin by making it easier for them to move money between fiat and Bitcoin and to and from our partners. I started programming when I was 7 years old in a terrible language called Delphi. Much later, I got my bachelor's degree in computer science. And now I've had my software engineering career for a little bit over 12 years now, with technical leadership roles for most of it at this point. I love working on projects and products from scratch and backends. And when the role at Bitkey presented itself, that was the reason why I was very interested in it.
Great, thank you. So again, you've got a great job now, but if you were going to be doing something else, what would it be?
Anything with numbers, maybe financial analysis, accounting, investment accounting, anything that can come with numbers. And if it can come with charts, that's even better.
Just not in Delphi.
Not in Delphi.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Awesome. All right, let's get to know Kirah a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what you do, Kirah, and where you are.
Hi. Yeah. Well, thank you to all my panelists and to you, Erin. Thank you to Block and WWC as well. I'm coming to you from Menlo Park in sunny California in the Bay Area. I'm from Canada originally, from a little city called Winnipeg. And then I lived in Toronto for most of the last decade. Lived in Bali for a little bit just before the pandemic. And yeah, I guess my journey to Block is pretty roller coastery. It's kind of all over the place. I actually went to school for journalism. And so I was working in journalism, digital media, like in the press. I became an associate editor. I grew to really dislike it by the end of like 4 years. And coding was actually kind of a hobby of mine. It was something that I just loved to do. I was always way more interested in like the websites that articles would go on rather than the articles themselves that I was putting out. So I got to start doing that, and I was lucky enough to kind of turn that into a career. When I moved to Bali just before, I co-founded an online marketplace, and then we sold that before the pandemic. Learned a lot of hard lessons through that. I went to go work at Canada's largest bank after that, and it was kind of like a 180. Like, it was from crazy startup life to kind of like a very relaxed and structured place. And then I've kind of found like pretty much the perfect place for me and what I'm looking for here at Block. I joined Block, I guess, about 9 months ago now, on TBD's open-source engineering team. So I'm a senior front-end engineer there, and we built decentralized platforms and developer toolings. We work with something called Web5, which we can talk about more later. Yeah, that's, I guess, my story.
It's great. It's great. So I love how all of y'all have interesting journeys. I'm curious, Kirah, if you weren't where you are now, where would you be?
Yeah, so I am doing the thing that I wanted to be doing. Like, I started in journalism and then I got to be here. So this is exactly what I would be doing. If I wasn't doing this, like I'd probably still be doing this. I'd just maybe be retired or something. However, if computers did not exist in a universe where there was no paradigm of like programming, I don't know. I think I would probably be somewhere in like working in the arts in some capacity. I'm not sure what exactly, but somewhere there.
Great. Thank you. All right. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about what y'all's teams are doing? Can you, what is something that you wish people knew about how Block's emerging teams are paving the way for global access to music, to Bitcoin, to open source?
Yeah, I wish people knew that we are currently focused on three main trends, which are AI, open protocols, and global South, among others. Regarding AI, artificial intelligence, at TIDAL, we have been using it like for a while. And I would say that the recent acceleration in availability of tools is something we are eager to implement across all of our products and services. Because we see this as a way to create efficiencies, both internally and for our customers. And we see many opportunities to create to apply these technologies to create entirely new features. So some examples that I can share from TIDAL about what we are currently working on are, for instance, the AI generated playlists. We are currently testing the option of allowing fans to create playlists with AI, as we recognize that the playlist creation is crucial for a successful onboarding experience. This would be one example. And another one, for instance, could be the improved personalization experience in the platform. So we are using, again, artificial intelligence to recommend the best content to our users based on their preferences and habits. So this regarding the first trend. Regarding open protocols, I think Kirah is the expert here. So would you like to share some insights?
For sure. Thanks, Clara. Yeah, so I mean, these are definitely some huge trends that we're seeing in the web. We're seeing a really massive paradigm shift for all of the web. And I think one of the really wonderful things that TBD is doing is kind of distilling the complex and bringing it to a really approachable state for developers to get involved with and define their own protocols and easily install these protocols into different applications and web interfaces. And it's something that I think is really, really great. I'm excited to see the competition that this creates, the different markets that can emerge because of the shift that we're seeing. And I'm excited to see just all of the very cool tools and different clients that will be built as a result of this. I think as a front-end engineer, I'm really excited about the prospect of being able to build as many clients as there are people or preferences perhaps for different protocols, and being able to carry your data with you across different clients, all while using the same protocol in very much the same way that we all have email and we're all able to communicate over email, even if I use Gmail and like Clara uses Hotmail and Johnny uses Live. Yeah, it's something that I'm excited to see come to platforms on the web. And I've been seeing a lot of news as well coming out of Bitkey. So, I think maybe Joanna can speak to some of the cool things that are coming out of there.
We do have really cool things coming from Bitkey. I think in terms of our business, I think the great thing is that we are truly striving for the impact of the emerging technologies and how we can use them to be global. And we recognize that there are different issues across the globe that these technologies should be designed to address and can help with. On the Bitkey side, we definitely try to support people globally and have usable interfaces to also support people with variety of experiences and a variety of knowledge. Exciting part about Bitkey is that we have our next most imminent milestone coming in very soon, which is the kickoff of our external beta program, with our first external customers being able to try the product very soon, which from the get-go is also global. So super excited about that.
Great, thank you. So those are all really great new technologies that you're working in. Are there any challenges or unique opportunities that you found working in these spaces?
I think just to continue that thought, I think what I found challenging is that there is always ambiguity of working on projects from their inception and working from scratch, especially when the initial start is without customers. So as we go, we try to resolve it and storm and form our product and our solutions, which as much as it's challenging, it's also very fun. And also customer expectations in Bitcoin space are a little bit different than majority of products, and that pertains to privacy and the security of the solutions, which are definitely a really high standard.
I would +1 to that. So this is my first time actually being exposed to blockchain technologies or to decentralization. It's been a lot to learn in a very small amount of time. And I think building from the ground up really does flex that creative muscle, encountering challenges as you go and kind of solving them. Like so you need to be a bit of a pessimist to kind of identify those problems, and then an optimist to solve them. So it really forces you to kind of flex both sides of that and just kind of think about your goals from all kinds of angles. I think is really important as well, having that perspective. Yeah, so in TBD Web 5, our base developer platform launched in May, and we're still in tech preview. We're adding features constantly, and we're just building. So it's very exciting, and there's always kind of something to do. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree with both Kirah and Joanna. In my personal case, working in the music industry was challenging, and it still is. Since you need to understand all the complexities related, for instance, to royalties, copyrights, licensing, and all these sort of things. So it was a new industry for me from a professional perspective. And also navigating multiple stakeholders, keeping up with technological advancement are also challenges. And I think it's crucial as well to adapt to the industry trends, compliance with standards and regulations, financial aspects and all these sort of things. This from the music industry perspective. And from a software engineering point of view, I would say that for me, it's always a challenge, the constantly evolving technology landscape. Well, it's both a challenge and an opportunity, actually, because, well, I try to keep up with the latest frameworks, programming languages, best practices, and it requires to be continuously learning and adapting to new situations. Also, like, for instance, the need to keep up with emerging technologies such as generative AI. And yeah, I believe like high quality digital music is evolving fast, and there is still a lot of room for improvement. So you need to stay up to date. And yeah, that's it.
That's great. So what do you do to continue to learn, to grow, and to stay up to date? How do you expand your knowledge on all these technologies?
Yeah, in my case, I enhance my professional development in different ways. So, for instance, the first of all, well, it may seem a bit obvious, but like through reading lots of books covering not only technical subjects but soft skills like leadership, communication, and so on. For instance, with my team at TIDAL, we initiated a book club where we collectively choose books to read. After we meet twice a month, and we discuss our insights, and we like to exchange ideas, and we probably suggest methodologies that could benefit our team. So I really think this is a good way to keep up to date with tech, but there are many others, such as, of course, LinkedIn courses, learning videos, and so on. So I really think that it's important to keep up to date with technologies, not only from your domain, but from other environments as well, in order to identify potential synergies or collaborations that could add value to our customers in the near future, for instance. And yeah, that's how I try to do it. What about you, Joanna?
I think for me, the most important thing is to continue building things. I've been lucky throughout my career to have the opportunity to work on multiple different things, which, while mostly included backend work, it also included integrations, included generative AI, included computer graphics, IoT. So I think all of that helps extrapolate the skill set a lot, and continuing to build things, continue to learning now about blockchain and working with partners is definitely a huge driver. I think always looking at new things and new projects to help with the extrapolation confidence that every new thing is digestible. I love podcasts, so this is something that I do in my free time, although it's sometimes out of my direct role. And I think important thing is also learning from coworkers who have different experiences and backgrounds, and surrounding yourself, if possible, with people whom you can learn from.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with everything both of you have just said about that, especially about building to learn. I think the way that I've always learned, I'm a very kinesthetic learner, so I really do learn by doing, and I especially learn by like screwing things up and then fixing them. I actually did think about like what else do I really learn from, and it's definitely learning from coworkers and people around you. My partner is also a software engineer, so I actually just realized this past weekend a really big part of like what I learned from is just us talking about it over breakfast and dinner, just like talking about it all the time. So I think it kind of speaks to two things, like definitely building to learn, but also having sort of those people around you that you can talk ideas through with, and like having that safe space and being able to trust somebody to bounce off ideas, good or silly. And yeah, I think that that's probably how I learn.
Thank you. I do see a lot of questions in the chat for book suggestions things. We will be responding in the recap email with answers to questions, so stay tuned for that. But I want to follow up a little bit on the learning from others. How do you all see being part of communities, and particularly diverse communities, help you expand your careers and your growth?
I can dive in here first. So I would say, well, first, what I try to do to connect with other women working in tech is mainly two things. I try to attend as many networking events as possible. I look for local events that bring together women in tech, events such as conferences, meetups, or any kind of professional development event. For instance, at the end of this June, I had the opportunity to attend the European Women in Tech Conference here in Amsterdam, which is an annual event that focuses on promoting and celebrating women in the tech industry. And it serves as a platform for women professionals to come together, network, and share insights and inspire each other. And my overall experience was great. It was filled with valuable connections and learning opportunities, and I tried to get the most out of it. And also I tried to strengthen my bond with the TIDAL team as well, which is really valuable when you are working fully remote, which is my case. And yeah, the experience was not only enriching, but also led to discover new communities, such as the D2 Collective, based in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, which I didn't know, and someone talked about it. It was really useful. So the first one is attending networking events, and the second one would be participating in online communities, such as the women engineering community we have at Blog, or the Women Who Code community as well, which can be very enriching. So there are many online communities, and such as LinkedIn groups, Slack channels, and forums. So I think these are great ways to connect with other women and stay up to date on the latest trends and news. So how do I look to these communities to advance my knowledge and career? I would say that I aim, well, I try to do it in different ways, but first I aim to deep my technical expertise in TIDAL's domain, as I mentioned before, staying up to the latest trends and advancements and becoming an expert in the field, in the music industry. This would be the first one. Then I aim to understand the organizational processes, so gaining a comprehensive understanding of the organization's way of working, processes, including cross-functional collaboration, to basically contribute to the company's success. So this would be the second one. Then also I aim to expand my professional network by establishing connections and building relations with colleagues, stakeholders, and industry experts, let's say, to foster collaboration and also knowledge exchange, as we were talking about before. And yeah, last but not least, the leadership development. In my case, I aim to transition from an IC role, an individual contributor role, to a lead role within TIDAL, where I can use my leadership skills and my communication skills as well to drive team success, mentor talent, and contribute to strategic decision making. So this would be it in my case.
It's hard to pick it up from here, but I'm going to jump in because that was a really great list. I think for me, what I find really empowering is mentoring programs and even unofficial mentoring. I think that the internal opportunities within the company as well as external opportunities are really great. And not only for myself, but I think that the mentoring relationships are beneficial to both parties. What I find is that being a mentor helps me become a better mentor, and also it usually helps with career growth or achieving goals when being mentored. Even finding people who are interested in progressing their career through past such LinkedIn or local events has been always something that I really valued. And local events, so attending the networking events for software-focused people or even startup-focused people in my local area, because it's not an area known for tech, as well as meeting with students at various stages of their education to encourage them that they can actually find success in technical fields, be it computer science or any other technical field. And I think building relationships with female coworkers across my entire path has been something that I really, really value. As for the empowering aspect of it, I think that in every one of those relationships and every one of those events, there is a lot of sharing, and that sharing can be leveraged to learn about other paths, other experiences, and building the empathy, as well as building knowledge, understanding all kinds of different paths that we took as women to be where we are, and different paths that we are taking now and where they can lead us to.
I love that. And just echoing everyone else, events are definitely an important part of networking, building relationships with colleagues at work as well. I'll echo that as well. Interest groups, virtual conferences, and online communities, and mentorship is absolutely a big one. Yeah, I think probably the thing that I've found most helpful is there's sort of this unspoken narrative that you're able to share with one another. And you, as Joanna kind of alluded as well, there are definitely sort of stories that you can share in a very safe space, and you can kind of just know that it will be understood. And I think it's definitely important to build bonds throughout your career and everywhere you go, and to kind of keep those bonds alive. Yeah, and I'll just echo again, I think events are very important to create those new connections as well.
Yeah, I would say as the chapter chair for Women Eng in Atlanta, events are really a great way for me to get to spend time with women at Block that I don't get to work with day to day. We're a large organization, and it's both the social, we do like an ice cream sundae social sort of thing, and also technical talks, getting all that there. I did see some questions about organizations. I really want to give a shout out to the Women Who Code Atlanta organization. They're amazing. I have met people there that I've hired. So if you have local chapters, seek those out. Stay involved with the online one. You're already there. So I want to move on a little bit to how, and I feel, Clara, maybe you touched on this a little bit already, but how are you looking towards these communities to advance your knowledge and your career?
In my case, I aim to deep my technical expertise in the, not only actually in TIDAL's domain, but in the tech landscape. Also understanding the organizational processes within my organization and within other organizations from other women companies, other women in tech working in other tech companies, expanding my professional network, which I think is crucial, and I am trying it like so hard, attending to these conferences, to this to panel, participating in panel discussions like this one, which I think it can be really rewarding and enriching to get to know other women like the ones we have today, and also like develop my career path and transition to a leadership lead path, as right now I am an individual contributor and I have no reports in my team, and I would like to have a hybrid role within TIDAL, with both software engineering tasks and project management and people management tasks. What about the others?
I think for me, the most empowering thing was understanding that I can leverage my own experience and knowledge and my career path to help other women. I think if not all, vast majority of organizations, I've experienced being the most senior contributor, which also means that I can't find a close organizational mentor for myself that's a woman, and being able to be one is something that makes me really happy and is really empowering, especially seeing the positive results of that. And I think another thing is just understanding that we all have all of those different paths and all of them lead to all of those great places. And it sort of puts me at ease that there is no one right way to do things. There is so many different ways. There are so many different experiences. There is so many different fields of expertise, and that's really fun to see, and it's really empowering to see where we can go.
Yeah, I think I would say probably the thing that I love being able to take from being in these spaces is being able to see and learn soft skills. To Claire's point earlier as well, leadership skills, communication skills. I think also just being able to see how you can like respond to different things with empathy, but firmly, and just seeing how others on the team like navigate different situations or how they respond different ways. I try to absorb all of that because there's certainly people that I very much admire. So I feel very lucky to get to work closely with them and get to see them up close. And yeah, I think, my earlier response as well was just kind of about having that sort of unspoken shared narrative and some of those shared stories. I think it's really important to build that community. I didn't mention earlier, but another place that I think would be good to find community and build community is like look at the open source space, look at making open source contributions, seek out communities and servers on Slack and on Discord, and just start connecting with other engineers in those spaces and working on the problems that they're solving and seeing how you can become part of that conversation. I think that's a really good way to become involved in community.
Thank you. I love that y'all are already building this community. It's one of the things that I wish that I had realized I should do earlier on in my career. It's important to have strong relationships with the people in your team, but also having that outreach outside of your team gives you insight into opportunities for yourself and also for them as well, and helps you grow. And like Joanna said, sometimes helping others is the best way to help yourself, right? So I highly encourage people to look for those sorts of groups. It's really been great getting to know all of you while we were prep for this talk and in this conversation. I'm feeling excited to hear about your journeys and the importance of networking and sharing experiences. And I'm always curious to see like how, despite what y'all are working on being very different, a lot of the goals are similar. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for this fireside chat. We don't really have time for questions today, but we are going to answer questions in the recap email. This great panel today is going to be hosting a Open Protocols Lab workshop in the next month. So please come and check that out. We'll be developing a structure for sharing music within Open Protocol. It's a can't miss. If you would like to hear more about the team, please join our newsletter. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Erin, and thank you so much to Clara, Kirah, and Joanna. I really appreciated hearing all of your journeys and your insights and the importance of professional networking and joining online communities to build your professional network and just experience growth. And thank you all to our attendees for joining today. And like Erin said, we don't have time for questions today, but if you leave your questions in the chat, those will be followed up in the post-event email. So look forward to that. Thank you all so much for joining. I hope you have a good rest of your day.